Coming up on PAC News, a string of fires in historic black churches is under investigation. We'll have the latest.
If you're wanting to wipe away those wrinkles, you may want to listen up.
And how long will this beautiful weather last? Stay tuned for these stories and more. Good afternoon, I'm Tyler Wan.
And I'm India Yarbrough. The city of New Orleans is pushing for major changes to bike safety in the city.
This after the high-profile Mardi Gras incident, which left 2 people dead and several injured. Let's go live to Kelly Sanchez with the latest.
That's right, guys. The city is now focusing on safety for bikers after the really tragic incident over Carnival that left 9 people injured after a drunk driver hit bikers. I spoke with people from Bike Easy who talked about their plans for the bike lanes in the city.
It is not a hassle to park legally.
The New Orleans City Council is making the safety of bikers a top priority.
I was in a pretty traumatic bike accident because of some bike safety issues in terms of visibility on the roads in New Orleans.
The city recently added fines for drivers who park in bike lanes. Those fines start at $300 and can go up to $500. But biking advocates say they want more to be done to keep bikers safe.
Everybody, no matter if you're walking down the street, walking on the sidewalk, crossing the street, biking down the street, biking into your driveway, driving. We're all people, we're all just trying to get around town.
The city is working with Bike Easy to expand the number of bike lanes and push for protected lanes.
There's so many kids who don't have cars or aren't able to afford cars, so bikes are not only a really responsible option, and because of that, it's really important to make those options safe for our students.
The cycling community says the new safety measures are needed sooner rather than later.
And all it takes is a car and a bike to ruin, what could be decades worth of hard work.
Tomorrow night, there will be a community meeting with Bike Easy and the City Council Transportation Committee. They'll discuss the plans for District A, which includes the University area, Carrollton, and part of Lakeview. That meeting is going to happen at Stewart Hall School on South Carrollton Avenue at 6 p.m. And now back to you guys.
It's still not known if fires at 3 historically black churches near Villa Plot were set intentionally. The fires happened within 10 days of each other in St. Landry Parish, starting March 26th. The NAACP is calling it an act of domestic terrorism, but one church leader says they just want answers.
They're not afraid, they're just concerned, knowing that it could have easily been any of our other churches, including this one. So for the most part, we're just remaining prayerful and positive about it until something is given in terms of a resolve.
Officials do know a smaller fire at a predominantly white church more than 200 miles north on March 31st was set intentionally. It's not known, though, if it is related to the other fires. Burning black churches was a common occurrence during the Jim Crow era in the South.
Meanwhile, on Loyola University's campus, the term colorism is making headlines. That means discrimination against people with darker skin. Reporter Leah Banks tells us how one organization is tackling colorism in the Crescent City.
Hey, girl! For Houston native Chloe Irvin, colorism is a problem in New Orleans that people have seemed to ingrain in their culture since she came here for college.
I believe colorism in New Orleans is definitely something that is kind of normalized. We put a lot of emphasis on people's skin color, I've noticed, being that I'm not from here.
But for others, it's more than just color.
New Orleans. In New Orleans, colorism affects, in the black community, everyone. You see it in families, you see colorism impacting education, the socioeconomic status. It determines whether or not you get jobs or what type of jobs you get. It also impacts and plays a factor in mental health as well as mass incarceration.
Whether it's my texture of hair or my skin complexion, colorism in the African American community has been a problem for years, and it's still a problem on the rise today. but the Love organization on Loyola University's campus is determined to make a difference. Loyola University's Love organization held a panel to address possible solutions to colorism in New Orleans. The panel was composed of 6 Black women, all different skin complexions and hair textures, trying to find solutions to a problem that is ingrained and normalized in the culture of the Crescent City.
I think it went very well. We are realizing now that we just scratched the surface of colorism and what we can do for as solutions. And a couple of the panelists have expressed desires to create a series so we can go into each area more in depth to figure out how we can dismantle colorism.
Louis Goins said that there's still some work to be done, but it's good to start breaking the ethnic barrier. Leah Banks, PAC News.
Now, if you're trying to buy a home in the Crescent City, it's not so easy. Home ownership here is much lower than the national average. Lacey McBride tells us about a federal program helping New Orleanians find their home sweet home.
Made my dreams come into reality.
Breanne Ford found the perfect home for her family of 3, thanks to a city program that helps low to moderate income families become homeowners.
We believe here that affordable housing, decent, safe housing is a right, and everyone should have access to it.
According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, in order to qualify for this program, you have to make less than 80% of the median income. In New Orleans, that's $35,000 for a single person and $65,000 for a family of 4. Then you must complete a training course and qualify for a mortgage from an approved lender. The Ford family received $35,000 from the program to help purchase their dream home.
So the point of the program is to help you to get into that house that otherwise you would not be able to get into. We know from data that those children perform better in school when they have a stable household, when they see other live in communities where there are other homeowners. We know also that the parents perform better at work.
If we had a very small house, all we had was 1-2 rooms, and we needed more space because we had a lot of stuff.
It gives you a place to call home. Like, I never thought I can buy, like you say, a house in Pontchartrain Park. And with the city program, I was able to qualify.
PAC News, Lacey McBride.
Thanks, Lacey. Now, the state of Louisiana ranks close to the bottom of the nation in access to mental health care. However, uninsured residents will now be able to come to a new facility at Loyola. Reporter Nick Boulay has the story.
A clinic dedicated to providing counseling and mental health care, designed to serve anyone in need, has opened in Mercy Hall on Loyola's campus.
We're responding to what our community needs immediately.
Louisiana ranks 45th in access to mental health care, according to founders Sarah Zogby and John Dewell.
We have a huge need throughout the community for mental health care. We've had dwindling services and dwindling resources on a federal level for mental health care. And so what we've really tried to do is to provide a space where people can get they can get mental health care, and they can get it regardless of their funds.
Graduate students from Loyola's Center for Counseling and Education will be able to complete their internships and provide counseling services at the clinic.
The program will be giving both Loyola graduate students experience with counseling and addressing the bigger issue of giving people who would not have access to mental health care a place for counseling.
People actually pick up the phone and call. That's been amazing. That's been, I mean, that's the whole point of it.
Nick Boulay, PAC News.
As the April 15th tax deadline approaches, one volunteer program at Loyola University aims to help community members get their returns in on time. Reporter John Casey has the story.
Punching the numbers at no cost. That's what the Loyola University Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program is doing 3 times a week in an effort to aid the local community with the complicated task of submitting their tax returns.
And these people need their taxes done. In most cases, they really have no business paying hundreds of dollars to H&R Block. They can barely spare the money. They need that for more important things.
The efforts of the program and its volunteers don't go unnoticed. For Jack DiOrio, his tax return brings much needed financial assistance.
Still have some of that money saved, so it's a nice way to you know, typically living paycheck to paycheck, it's nice to get a nice lump sum of money to do what I need to with it, pay bills and plan in the future and stuff.
The program called VITA has already served more than 100 since opening its doors in February and expects to serve a few hundred more by tax day.
I feel very strongly about VITA and its role in the community. We put a ton of money back into the community in terms of credits given back, and we have a lot of habitual filers with us who come to us every year. So people depend on us.
As it gets closer to deadline, VITA expects the papers to keep piling up. This has been John Casey, PAC News.
Those in need of tax assistance can schedule an appointment with the program or walk in on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays.
Wish I had known about that when I was doing my taxes.
I know, absolutely.
Taxes takes years off my life.
Yeah, I feel that.
But coming up, if you're looking for an inexpensive way to get rid of those wrinkles, you may want to stay tuned.
And cannabis legalization could be put into your hands. What lawmakers are hearing this week. Stay tuned.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
The medicinal cannabis movement is making its way to the state house this week. While Louisiana has already legalized medical marijuana, the challenge is going to be getting it to the marketplace. Advocates are pushing for several measures that, if passed, could allow parishes to vote on legalizing retail cannabis.
At the same time, that would allow New Orleans voters to decide the future that they want.
But don't expect an answer too soon. The legislative session goes through June 8th, and the measure is expected to bring some controversy.
More Americans are asking for medical help to fight aging than ever before. In fact, the American Society of Plastic Surgeons says 250,000 more procedures were performed in 2018 than the year before. Botox remained the top minimally invasive procedure. But before you decide on that household name, there's another new drug that could help those wrinkles fade away.
A procedure, okay.
But it's not till the end of March.
Nearly 30 patients a day come into Dr. Kate Holcomb's office requesting Botox by name. But a new drug hitting the market soon might give that cosmetic frontrunner a run for its money.
Our new drug that's on the market, the brand name is Jeuveau, but the chemical name is probotulinum toxin A. It is coming out as a competitor of Botox.
Holcomb was involved in Jeuveau's clinical trials, a series of tests which earned the drug FDA approval in early February.
I was one of the sub-investigators, meaning that I evaluated patients as well as injected them and then evaluated the outcome of the injectable.
One of Holcomb's patients, Judith Buffone, volunteered to participate in those trials. Buffone said she saw Jeuveau's results almost immediately.
It took about 2 days, 3 days, and you could start seeing it. And then within a week, it was really starting to work.
After finishing those clinical trials, Buffone continued with injected cosmetic procedures. And since Jeuveau has not yet become publicly available, Botox was her obvious choice.
It actually does the same. I mean, I didn't see no really difference in it.
While Botox and Jeuveau perform quite similarly, one difference you could see is in Jeuveau's marketing.
While Botox and actually some of the other medicines that came after Botox, so brand name Dysport, brand name Xeomin, those are marketed both on the medical side, so meaning they can be used for medical reasons for insurance purposes, and then also for what they call aesthetic purposes, so like for beautification or reduction in wrinkles. This product is actually only going to be used for improvement in wrinkles.
Holcomb also says the new product is expected to be less expensive than Botox, which she adds may appeal to younger patients. India Yarbrough, PAC News. The company that owns Jeuveau expects the drug to hit the market in spring or summer of this year.
Coming up, we're going to tell you if this beautiful weather is going to continue into French Quarter Fest this weekend.
Find out a new way you can fight invasive plants in southern Louisiana. Stay with us.
The
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Well, this weather is absolutely beautiful right now. Andrew Callahan is live at Audubon Park.
Andrew, tell us how long this weather is going to continue.
As you can see, it's an absolutely beautiful day outside. We're in the shade right now, but it is beautiful and sunny. It's about 75 degrees with 80% humidity and light 15-mile-an-hour winds. Now, this beautiful weather is expected to continue for the rest of the week, but this weekend, things will change. There's expected to be a 50% chance of thunderstorms all weekend, so if you're planning on going to French Quarter Fest, you might want to consider bringing an umbrella. According to weather reports, on Sunday night, Wright's Chief Bo Dallas Jr. will take the stage with the Wild Magnolias at Jackson Square at around 7 p.m. There's an 80% chance of thunderstorms. Stay dry, folks. Back to you.
Thanks, Andrew. We're looking forward to the weekend. People are fighting invasive species in different ways, and one of them is to grow mushrooms. Yuri Oguma tells us more.
Invasive trees from China has hit New Orleans forest. The invasive trees are called Chinese tallow trees. All You Need Institute co-owner Jordan Baum-Kelly says the trees put out chemicals that prevents other plants from growing.
Chinese tallow tree is one of the worst invasive species to ever hit Louisiana. The way people fight back is to grow mushrooms on them.
All You Need Institute hosted a mushroom growing workshop using Chinese tallow trees as a base for mushroom growing. People have spent 2 hours learning how to grow mushroom and eat them. The mushroom takes 6 to 8 months to grow, but people are already excited about eating the mushrooms.
My favorite way to eat mushrooms is just sauteed in butter and salt.
Baum-Kelly says the fight needs to continue, and providing a way to consume tallow tree is the best way to counter invasive species.
We need to use them. We got to put them to use.
The next mushroom growing workshop will be held in August. Yuri Oguma, PAC News.
Thanks, Yuri. Those mushrooms look delicious. Coming up, the NCAA crowns 2 new basketball champions.
And find out which LSU players declare for the NBA draft. We'll tell you this and more in sports. Stay with us.
Back to you, Lester.
Thanks, Taylor. And in our final story of the night,
The Maroon has been ranked as one of the top student newspapers in the nation by the Princeton Review.
March Madness 2019 came to a close and produced some thrilling championship basketball games. Virginia and Texas Tech squared off in last night's men's championship game, both teams playing for their first ever national title. Virginia boasted a 35-3 record going into the tournament and beat Gardner-Webb, Oklahoma, Oregon, Purdue, and then Auburn onto their run to the championship. Virginia's DeAndre Hunter took control in the second half, finishing with a career-high 27 points. The junior out of Philadelphia hit the game-tying three with 12 seconds left that eventually forced overtime, with both teams tied at 68. The Cavaliers put it away in OT on their way to the 85-77 win. 1 year ago, Virginia became the first ever 1 seed to fall to a 16 seed on the first day of tournament action, and 1 year later, head coach Tony Bennett and his Cavaliers are champions. And on the women's side, the Baylor Bears cut down the nets and were crowned as champions on Sunday night. Former Louisiana Tech Bulldog Kim Mulkey and her 37-1 Baylor Bears squad went head-to-head with defending champion Notre Dame Fighting Irish for the NCAA Women's National Championship. And this lived up to the hype and went down to the wire. The Fighting Irish clawed back from a 14-point deficit to tie the game at 80. But Baylor point guard Chloe Jackson's clutch layup with 3.9 seconds left put the Bears up by 2. The Fighting Irish's best player, Enrique Ngubunwale, got fouled on the other end and missed the first free throw, which pretty much sealed it. Mulkey and the Bears secured the program's third ever national title with the 82-81 win. And Alvin Gentry and the Pelicans completed their final road trip of the season over the weekend. Point guard Elfrid Payton was the lone regular starter on the floor for the Pels and poured in 26 points with 14 assists. With no Anthony Davis, Drew Holiday, Julius Randle, or Solomon Hill, the Pelicans only had 8 active players dress out for the game. Guys like Kenrich Williams, Ian Clark, and Jahlil Okafor all logged 30 minutes or more and made the most of their opportunities. Clark led the Pels in scoring with 31, and Okafor finished with 26 points and 14 rebounds, leading the Pels to a 133-129 win. The Pels now sit at 33-48 on the season with 1 more to go against the Golden State Warriors tonight, who recently clinched the first seed in the Western Conference. And former Pelican DeMarcus Cousins is expected to play tonight in his first trip back to New Orleans since joining the Warriors. Tip for tonight's game is set for 7. And last week, still fresh off that loss in the Sweet 16, none of LSU's basketball players had declared for the NBA draft. The Tigers have now lost 3 players to the NBA since last Tuesday. Former 5-star Naz Reid declared for the draft after just 1 season in Baton Rouge. Tremont Waters and Skylar Mays announced their decisions to test out the NBA over the weekend. Reid is projected to be a late first-round draft pick in June.
Thanks for the update, Ryan. Coming up, a group of children helped to save a woman's life.
We'll tell you how the young heroes did it next on PAC News.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know wherever you are.
A group of boys in Fresno, California are being heralded as a woman's hero. She was seconds away from potentially committing suicide when the boys stepped in and talked her off the bridge. Gene Hagenson has the story.
The members of the Kepler School boys volleyball team were working out, jogging over the Tuolumne Street Bridge when they saw a woman climb over the edge of the Stanislaus Bridge about 50 yards away.
She was like one hand and feet hanging already.
They ran to tell their coach, Elliot Murray.
They told me there was a lady trying to jump off the bridge. All 12 of them screaming, call 911, call 911.
Murray saw the woman dangling from the bridge directly over the railroad tracks. He called 911 and told the boys to go back and yell at the woman.
I immediately told the kids, do everything you can. Chant, say stop, your life is worth it, and they just kept on chanting.
We were up there for like 10 minutes trying to distract her.
What were you saying to her?
We were like, stop and stuff, like it's not worth it.
The woman managed to pull herself up to safety and police arrived.
We contacted her, found out that she was actually trying to commit suicide, and the officer placed her on a mental health evaluation hold for 72 hours to be evaluated by mental health workers.
The woman is identified only as a 47-year-old Hispanic female. Coach Murray believes if not for the boys on his team, she would have let go.
By hearing those kids, and she took a glance and seen those kids, it registered to her, I can't do this in front of them. By kids chanting, stop, 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 don't do that, your life is worth it. she made it back to the top.
Do you feel like you helped save her life?
Yeah, I would feel that way. Yeah, I would feel that way. I feel like we distracted her long enough.
We don't know why the woman wanted to jump or if the boys' efforts stopped her, but it was an emotional event in their young lives.
Crazy, very traumatizing. Never seen nothing like this in my life.
The school later had the boys talk with a psychologist about the incident. Meanwhile, the woman was being held in a mental health facility.
That's our news for today. We hope everyone has a great weekend at French Quarter Fest.
Have a good weekend out there, guys.
Thanks for watching.